Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is the lesson recording for Thursday, uh, uh, November 5th, and for Friday, November 6th. Originally, I just had one recording up for the first day, and I decided I'm going to redo everything all in one big bunch. Rather than have two videos, you could just watch this beginning to end and work alongside of me. I'm going to tell you to pause the video at different parts because we are writing and writing is a process. It is important for you to be able to see everything that we worked on start to finish. Okay, so buckle up. This is going to be a lot, but I think that once you get into it and once you understand the process, this will get a lot easier. We're going to be doing a lot of writing all year. So that being said, let's get started right away. Head over to your modules, and then you're going to click on the Thursday, Friday. It's actually says Friday here at the top. All right, and of course you began here. That's where you click to get this video. Let's jump right into the Unit 2 Common Assessment. All right, once yours has loaded, you're going to see the same thing that I see on this screen. Let me give you a quick overview. Right now, you'll see at the top, here's a sample of my essay, the one that I'm working on. Remember, I tell you, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And I do write all of the essays right alongside of you. Yes, I do write the essays alongside of you. So if you're experiencing it, I'm experiencing it too. If you're struggling with it, I'm struggling with it too. That's the point, that if I can do it, that means that you can do it as well. Now, what I did for us is I highlighted the 2 days that the first video covered. That's the Wednesday where you worked by yourself, and then the Thursday work. I didn't highlight the Friday work, which is today is actually Friday where I am recording this. So just note that's why there's two different highlightings. If you zoom in or you look at my screen, you'll see here's a link to get to A Retrieve Reformation, one of the stories we read. It's the Jimmy Valentine text. If you have not read this story, you need to stop the video right now and go and read it. You're not going to be able to complete this assessment without having read and understand the full story. If you need to go back into our previous lessons and work through the Retrieve Reformation, I suggest that you do that. But for this writing, you do need to at least read it. All right. Here's a quick overview. This first part of the video, we're going to be unpacking the prompt, gathering evidence to use as examples from both of these texts. We're going to brainstorm ideas, and then we're going to organize the ideas. After that, we're going to develop a thesis. We're going to wait to write the hook. We'll do that at the end after we're finished with our body paragraphs. After we develop our thesis, one thesis, we're going to write our topic sentence, put in our examples, and then explain the examples. Okay? Let's jump right in. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can click on the button to pop out your graphic organizer. It's going to be your workspace. So I'm going to give you some notes. I'll give you some things to add. I'm going to keep referring back to your to my screen. And as I refer back to my screen, realize that you can actually copy and paste out of my master document, which is up here at the top. All right, let's get into it. So right now you have the button at the bottom open with your blank organizer or your organizer that you may have already started. You can have my copy open. Remember, my copy is complete. It has everything that I'm going to be showing you in it. It's a good idea to refer to it, but please don't just copy everything that I have and then like think that you're done, because I do want you to go through the process. That's why I'm making this video for you. All right, click on it and here we go. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to unpack the prompt. Now, how do I know that I need to unpack the prompt? If I'm following my steps right here, highlighted for you in gold, it says, look at the prompt and think, what am I being asked to write about? And do I need details and examples? All right. The prompt says, an old proverb says that honesty is the best policy. Sometimes, however, honesty might hurt a person's feelings. Explain why you either agree or disagree with being honest at all times. Use specific details and examples to convince others to support your opinion. Now, because this is your first writing prompt with me, other than your baseline, I actually bolded this part for you right here, where it says, explain whether you agree or disagree with being honest at all times. That's the essential part. That's what you're going to write about. So now, down below, I want you to write a sentence stating that. Write one sentence stating what is this prompt about. Pause the video and then come back and check your work. All right. I said, I'm being asked to write about whether or not I agree with being honest at all times. Is that what you had? The next thing I wanted to do is I need to include whether or not I'm supposed to have details and examples. So I wrote a second sentence and I wrote, I'm supposed to include specific details and examples in my body paragraph. I underlined the word body. Students, you should never say, for example, in your introduction. Because if you are, you're already working on your body paragraph. That needs to be saved for the main part of your essay, your details and examples. All right, the next thing I want to point out to you is you have to explain one or the other. Do you agree or do you disagree? You can't do both. In this prompt, it's not asking you what is the relationship between honesty and dishonesty. It's saying, do you agree that people should be honest all the time? Or do you think it's okay to lie sometimes? Now let's go down to our evidence. I'm referring back to this page, and questions 3 and 4 are, what text did I read that talk about the topic, and what do I know about this topic? Now, once again, if you need, I've put the links in right here for the copies of your texts. Just click on it to reread it or to re-access it. Looking back at our organizer, you're going to see that I've put a retrieve reformation in and I put a telltale heart in. These are the two texts that we're going to work from. Now, you can either put in a quote or you can put in a paraphrase. A quote is when you're going to copy and paste something directly out of the text that shows someone being honest or illustrates somebody being dishonest. A paraphrase is when you think about what you read and then you just basically summarize it and you write it in your own words. How did the text we've read show us about honesty? Pause the video, take a few minutes. Don't just like pause, think for a minute, and then put one thing in and come back. But I would like you to brainstorm this. Again, you can access the two texts right here. You might want to look for a quote, but you could also paraphrase. In fact, as a little hint before you pause, I did mostly paraphrasing. Pause the video, work on it, and then come back. All right, welcome back. Here's what I found. First, Jimmy Valentine learned that lying leads to more lying. That's true. He lost Annabelle because he acted truthfully to save the young girl. Remember that? When he was finally honest, something bad happened. Even though he changed, there were still consequences for his actions. These are just ideas that I had, things that I learned or observations I made about the text. The second one, the telltale heart, the narrator lied to the police. He also kind of lied to himself. The combination of his poor mental health and guilt for lying and for murder drove him insane. He eventually confesses to the crime because he can't handle the stress. Remember, that's at the end. Then I went back into the text, the telltale heart, and I pulled in a quote. I said, "They suspected, they knew, they were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think." Now, the reason that I pulled that quote in is I think that that adequately sums up him being stressed out because of the lying and all of the other stuff that's going on in the story. I may be able to use this somewhere in my essay, and I know that I have to have a quote somewhere in my essay. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to conduct a brainstorm. How did I know to do that? Well, I finished going back to the texts. I wrote down quotes and paraphrases. I wrote down the name of the sources. We did that already. Now I'm moving on to my brainstorm. I need to brainstorm ideas. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to think about what I already know. You don't have to link this to the text that you read in this unit. I mean, what do you know about lying? What do you know about telling the truth? What's your opinion about telling the truth? What happens when you lie? Are there some people that think that lying is okay? When do they think that lying is okay? Those are all ideas that you could come up with and write them down on your organizer. Don't worry about putting them in any sort of order. Just get them typed. Just get them written down. In fact, if you wanted to, you could use a blank sheet of paper and just handwrite it if that's easier. You will have to type them in eventually, but if it's just a matter of a brain dump and getting all of your stuff down, then that's okay. Now, the next part. Make sure you have at least 5 or 6 ideas. If you have 3 or 4, that's not enough. If you have 6, it may still not be enough, but I've got you covered for this one. I have lots of ideas. I think I have more than 30. If you have any less, you might not have enough to say. If you have less than 5 or 6, you might not have enough to say. You might end up repeating yourself. So if I put down like, lying can get you in trouble, lying can have consequences, lying can make people angry with you, lying can make people mistrust you. Probably of those 4 things that I just said, 2 of them could match up. 2 of them would be too close together. And that's why we need to have 5 or 6, because if you end up saying the same thing more than once, you're not going to have enough to write about. Let's go back to the organizer. You're going to type it here in the brainstorm. Please just use bullet points. Don't worry about sentences. Get your ideas down. Here's a little key. What do you know about truth, honesty, lying, or deception? What do you know about it? Write it down. Pause the video, come back once you're finished, and then I'll have mine up for you. All right, I've got all my brainstorming done. And if you had a hard time coming up with things, rest assured that if you come back over here and you scroll to the top and you open up Mr. Mitzel's sample, that you're going to be able to get these same exact words, and you could paste them in. I don't want you to get stuck because you couldn't think of something. On the other hand, I don't want you to skip brainstorming because I already did a lot of it for you. That's kind of the lazy route, and I don't want you to take that. I do want you to do the mental heavy lifting. I'm going to do everything else, though, to help grease the wheels and make things run smoothly for you. We're going to take a look at our brainstorm, and I'm going to zoom out. Look at all this. It's on this page, and it goes down here. Look at some of the things that we came up with. The students in class and I thought of these. Lying is bad most of the time. Nah, that's not very detailed, but it might be a phrase that I use later. Lying is not being truthful. There's a definition. It can't really be used as a main point, but definitely something to maybe remind my reader of. Honesty and truth help strengthen bonds of trust. That could be a main point. If you lie, people won't believe you. That could be a main point. The truth could hurt people. Opinions and honesty can be related. I think they are. We could see maybe we could do something with that. Sometimes the truth has consequences. That's definitely true. Lying could be considered good when playing a game, avoiding hurt feelings. You get what we're doing here. There's lots of different things that just writing them down will allow you to evaluate later. All right, here's the next step. I'm going to plan and organize my ideas. Now, some of my ideas were definitely better than others. In fact, let's take a look at one of them. Although this is true, I don't know if I could put this in as a main point. Some people lie about their kid's age to get a discount at the zoo. That's very specific, and that is true. People do lie about their children's age to get discounts on things. If you're under 12, you get in for free. Just keep that in mind. This is a really funny answer, and it is an honest answer, but I don't know if that's something I can use as a main point. Maybe in an intro, or maybe as a concluding point or a concluding idea. So what we'll do now is sort our evidence and our brainstorm topics into subtopics. Here are our subtopics: agree and disagree. So let's go back and think. What I've written up here will help you out. Is honesty the best policy? Make a list of pros and cons. Then choose one side. Choose your best main points, at least two, and then we can write our thesis. So on the agree side, I'm going to just copy and paste some of these, right? It's okay to lie when playing, joking, or if you're performing magic. That would go over here on the disagree side, that honesty isn't the best policy. If you've ever met an honest magician, you didn't meet a very good magician because he wasn't tricking you. Let's take a look at another one. Lying can hurt people's feelings. That one would be sorted to the agree side. Pause this video and I want you to sort your best points. Your best points. If it's something you don't think you could use as a main talking point, then keep it up at the top for reference later. Put your best talking points in the agree and disagree side. Pause the video and then come back when you're done. All right, welcome back. Remember that I do have all of these for you in my sample document. So if you wanted some of my answers, you could go and copy and paste out of there. Take a look at all of this. Now, these aren't all the absolute amazing points. I can't write a 15 paragraph essay from all of this, even though I've kind of highlighted 15 things or pasted in 15 things. But I do have a pretty decent selection. So now I'm going to evaluate. Now, I did a little bit of work off camera, and I don't think I can write a very good disagree. I do believe that honesty is the best policy, even though I do like magic and I do like jokes and playing tricks on people when it's for fun and both people like agree that it's acceptable. And I know that it's probably okay to lie in a dangerous situation. You know, like if somebody called your house and said, you know, are your parents home? It's really none of their business. And you wouldn't want to answer honestly if your parents or your guardian wasn't around. That could potentially put you in a dangerous position. And that's just not smart. But honestly, this is not the essay for me. The disagree side just doesn't work. I don't feel like I can build a strong argument that says it's okay to lie once in a while. I think that if I tried to use these as my examples and my main talking points, I wouldn't be convincing. But I can convince people that they should probably be telling the truth. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the key points that I'm going to write about. Some of these over in the agree say the same thing. Lying can hurt people's feelings. That is true, but I feel like I need to come up with a stronger point than that. I might use this as an example, like for instance, lying has consequences, and lying leads to more lies. Looking at this one, lying has consequences. What are some of those consequences? Well, lying can hurt people's feelings. So I'm just thinking ahead, and I'm going to write a paragraph that says, being honest all the time is a good idea because lying has negative consequences. For instance, lying can hurt people's feelings. People are hesitant to be around a person who's a liar. Those are both consequences. So these key ideas can link back to this idea. I'm going to keep it in mind, but right now I'm ready to write my thesis. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start my thesis in this box. All right. Here's what your instructions are. I want you to go to the top of the screen, all the way back up to where you had your what am I being asked to write about. Now, I want you to pull out the essential information. You could get it from right here, or you could get it from your sentence. I'm going to say, I agree with being honest at all times. See what I did? That's the beginning part. I'm going to put the word because on it, and then I'm going to add my 2 key points. Let me show you what that looks like. I've copied it. I'm coming down here to my thesis. I agree with being honest at all times because. Now I'm going to use my first main point that I've highlighted up here. Lying leads to more lies. And I'll use my second one. Lying has consequences. Now I made these different colors, and there's a reason for that. Because I know that my thesis is good, a thesis must only be 1 sentence, and that's forever. That's universal. It doesn't matter if you're an 8th grade writer or a 12th grade writer or a college writer or a trade school writer or a job applicant. Your thesis needs to only be 1 sentence. If it's more than 1, then you're not writing a thesis. Instead, you're writing examples. You don't want to do that. Let's start right here. I agree with being honest at all times because lying leads to more lies and lying has negative consequences. Students, this is the part where a lot of people break down. They've done all this planning and they put in all of this work and effort, and then they don't do a good job of writing a thesis. But let me remind you, if you do good work in your planning and you've come up with good ideas in your planning and you put in the effort, if you follow the format, you will always write an appropriate thesis. All right, I'm going to copy this entire thing with my highlighting and everything. I'm going to pause and I'm going to let you write your thesis. You can use mine actually if you want to. If you think that this is good, you may steal my entire thesis. I'll wait or I'll pause the video and you pause the video and come back when you have it in. All right, we have our thesis written and you do too. Now it's time to move on to our body paragraphs. Now, the way that I make my body paragraphs is I have to start with a topic sentence. How did I know that? Well, let's come over here and look. I'm going to write my topic sentence as the first thing in a body paragraph. Then I'm going to insert my examples and I'm going to explain my examples. Take a look at this little note that I put down here for you. Do you all remember the ACEs? ACEs meant answer, put in an answer to a question, cite an example, explain an example, and summarize. You probably remember doing that with the text about if you want to get into college, learn how to fail. Well, we're going to do something similar with all of our writing for body paragraphs. Instead of ACEs, we'll use ICEs. It means the same thing. It just fits better with the letter I, because instead of saying answer the question, we're going to say intro your topic, but it's exactly the same thing. All right, introduce your topic, cite an example, explain an example, and then summarize. So let's introduce our topic. Grab your cursor, and I want you to copy I agree with being honest at all times because, and I want you to put it in here for your first body paragraph, and then I want you to put it in here for your second body paragraph. Your topic sentence is going to have exactly the same thing, same starter or sentence stem in every topic sentence. Here it is once. Here it is twice. Okay, let me zoom out to show you. All right, I've got my yellow sentence starter pasted in for both topic sentences. Now here's the easy part. Take your 2 reasons, and this is why I highlighted them different colors. I'm going to put the green one on the first and the blue one on the second. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do the same thing. All right, I did mine. You can see here, my thesis is yellow and then green. Body paragraph 1 is yellow and then green. My thesis is yellow and then blue. My second body paragraph topic sentence is yellow and then blue. And the color coding just helps me keep track of the information that's in there. As you get better at this and as you write more essays, you're probably not going to use the highlighters, but I wanted to do that to help the information stand out to you. Please understand, if you have the yellow one and the blue one in this body paragraph, you don't have a topic sentence. Instead, you just have a copied and pasted thesis. The same thing with body paragraph 2. If you have the yellow, the green, and the blue in here, you don't have it. You just have your thesis pasted in. So make sure that each body paragraph's topic sentence has a different main point. So that's this yellow, this green, and this blue. Those are our main points. And remember, we got them from up here in our planning. Now we have to do a little bit of surgery to this. We have to add to it. You all remember transition words. Well, transition words help us stay organized. I'm going to use for this body paragraph the transition word first. Now I'm going to highlight it this kind of reddish color. I'm going to do all my transition words in the red color so they show up. Now, if I use the word first for my first body paragraph, what do you think I'm going to use for my second body paragraph? Why don't you pause the video, put in your own transition word, and then come back and see if we have the same thing. Okay, so that was a trick and a setup. You probably put in second, and if you did, keep it. That's okay. I used the word additionally. I think it just sounds nice. First, I agree with being honest at all times because lying leads to more lies. Additionally, I agree with being honest at all times because lying has negative consequences. See what I did there? Now here's another freebie. We use the transition at the beginning of each topic sentence. We also have to use a transition at the beginning of our example. Now you could go back to this page and see that your next job is to insert your examples, or you could come down here to these little notes that we added and you could do the letter C, cite an example. It means exactly the same thing. The transition word that we're going to use is for example. So if I put for example as the first transition word or phrase for my second example sentence, I need to do it here too. And in this case, I used to illustrate. Think about some other words that you could use instead of for example. You could even look up on Google. That would be totally appropriate. You could say to state or to show. You could say to illustrate or for example. You could say as an example. But the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to put the same word in 2 times. It's a little unprofessional and a little repetitive. If you say, for example, in the first one, say to illustrate or another example or to add to that or another way to show, those are totally appropriate. Okay, now I've built all of body paragraph 2 that I'm going to help you with. I'm not going to add anything else to body paragraph 2. Instead, I'm going to model the rest of it using body paragraph 1. Now, again, I would like you to use my copy, the one that I provided for you, to copy and paste the information onto yours so that you have a body paragraph 1. If you're feeling really ambitious, I'm going to let you come up with an example. But at least watch this video so you know what to do next. All right. I came up with this example, and it came from the text, A Retrieve Reformation. The character Jimmy Valentine in the story, A Retrieve Reformation, had to lie to cover up lying about who he was. Do you see what I did? I illustrated for you how lying leads to more lies, or I at least gave you an example of someone who lied to cover up or to create more lies. Looking at my notes, that is citing my example. Now the big part, explain your example. Now, if you're working alongside of me and you just added this in, that's fine. I want you to come down here and maybe think about it. What example could you put in that illustrates lying has negative consequences? It could be from Jimmy Valentine. It could be from The Telltale Heart, or it could be something that you put up here, like, for example, lying can hurt people's feelings, and then tell a story about some time when someone was lied about and it hurt their feelings, or a time when you were lied about. Or what about people will be hesitant about being around a liar? Do you remember the story about the boy who cried wolf? You could put that in as your example. All right. So what do I do after I put my example in? I'm going to have to explain it. Now, this is the part in writing where you definitely have to pretend like your reader is an absolute idiot and does not know what's going on. You are going to use your words to tell and show what this means. So we said that Jimmy Valentine had to lie to cover up lies. That's not very specific, and someone who hasn't read the story doesn't know about what lying he did. Here's what I wrote. Valentine lied about being a businessman when he was actually a safecracker. That's his first lie. He moved to the small town of Elmore and opened a shoe store. There he fell in love with a young woman who was unaware of his criminal past. That's his second lie. Jimmy Valentine was faced with a difficult decision due to his lying. He had to choose to keep up with the lies, to keep the love of his life, or reveal himself to save a girl who was trapped in a vault. If Valentine was honest, he would save the girl but lose his fiancée. See that? I explained to you how he lied to cover up other lies and how that caused a problem for him at the end. This is going to satisfy the E. We're not ready to summarize yet. Instead, I want you to come down here to yours. I want you to add in your example, cite an example. It can be a personal one or it could be from the text we read. And then I want you to explain your example. This is going to be where we end this lesson. You have to be finished with this before you can go on to write a conclusion. You have to be finished with this before you can really go in and write your intro. You definitely have to be finished with it before you can summarize your findings. One other key tip. My example is only going to be about 1 or 2 sentences long. My explanation, on the other hand, is going to be many sentences long. In fact, students have asked me, how many sentences do I need? And they're not satisfied when I say as many as it takes. If you're looking for a number, it should probably be, for this essay, between 2 and 5 additional sentences after the example, between 2 and 5. You certainly can write more, but you cannot write less. If you only explain in 1 sentence, you have not elaborated. You won't get any points for elaboration. So take that or keep that in mind. If you're like, I don't know what to write about, or you struggle with thinking, I don't know what to write still, how about diving in a little bit more into the detail of your example? Now, here's the cool thing. Remember when we did our what am I supposed to be writing about, unpacking the prompt? You just wrote, I'm supposed to include specific details and examples. That's what this is right here. Here's your example. Here is your detail. Remember, if you ever have any questions, I am totally available. You can send me a message at any time, day or night, and I'll get back to you the next day, or I'll address it in class. Your assignment now is to finish body paragraph 2 through explaining your examples. So complete C for cite, E for explain. All right, I look forward to seeing you in class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.